So if you don't know me, my name is Michael Richmond, and as Nat said, I will be representing Reform Australia in the next federal candidate as a candidate in Wentworth in 2028. But before I get to that, I just want to talk a little bit about myself and what exactly inspired me to run in the first place. Because as she said, I am 21. What am I doing here, right? Next slide. So I am a software engineer. I am a tennis player. I am a business owner, and I'm a local in Bondi Junction who's concerned about our future. So I love technology, I love tennis, and most importantly, I love politics. And the reason I love politics so much, next slide, is because it affects literally everything we do. And I feel like politics is probably the best thing you can do to make a big impact. And that's exactly what we need now. Next slide. So, I believe politicians should be the people we look up to. They should be the good guys in the story. But looking around this room, I can see a lot of heads, not agreeing with what I'm saying right now. And unfortunately, that is the world that we live in today. And hands up if you guys support 2 or 3 of these people up here on screen.
Just one.
Just one. I think I can guess exactly who that is. Which is so sad, right? Because these are the people who lead the country. Now, I want to change that. I'm young, I got time, and I want to change that. I believe politicians should be 3 things. They should be public servants, they should be leaders, and they should be teachers. Public servants because obviously they should be serving the people, right? We're the ones that get them into parliament. They should be leaders because they should be able to make the hard decisions and take on the consequences for their actions. And they should be teachers because we shouldn't need a law degree to understand what they're doing in Parliament House. Next slide. So what actually inspired me to get into politics in the first place was when I began working as a teacher for a company called Elevate Education, which is quite a new company. You guys, well actually, I was probably a student if you guys were teachers, but what I would do is go to like a school 3 to 4 times a week, like different schools, and I would teach a class of students time management or study skills. Now, during my 3 years of teaching, I noticed one consistent trend in every single class that I taught, and that was a lack of enthusiasm towards the future. Next slide. I had students as young as year 8 express to me their lack of excitement for the future as they were telling me that their parents were very depressed about what they saw in the news, and they would tell me in class, and it's really sad to hear that. But even they knew how hard it was outside of school. And I had students in year 11 and 12 confide in me and tell me that maybe they wouldn't be able to own a home in the future, and that they wouldn't be able to work in the fields that they love and that they wanted to study for, which is just so sad. And so I am running, next slide please. I'm running not because I want to, but because I believe Australia deserves better. I'm running because I believe the kids in these classrooms deserve justice. They deserve to grow up in a country where they can be optimistic about the future, they can be prosperous, and above all, they can have confidence in the system and that it works. And so that's what I did. Last year, I decided to run as an independent candidate for Wentworth when I was 19, and with $6,000 in my pocket and a very small handful of people who truly believed in me. And so for a full year, I was campaigning, I was letter dropping, I was delivering speeches, I was posting content on social media, I was speaking at events, I was door knocking, I did everything, right? And after all of that, I gained the support of thousands of people in the electorate. And obviously looking back at it, I wish that I would have done better, right? There's always things that I could have done better. But to think back and think that there were so many good local Wentworthians who truly believed in me, and they voted for me and thought that I would have been a good leader in Parliament. And while I didn't win the election, I do think I did something that is arguably more important. I inspired hundreds of Australians across the country. Next slide. The next day after the election, the polling, I hopped on Instagram and I was swarmed, I'll tell you, I was swarmed with messages from young Aussies across the country thanking me for running. Even if I didn't win, they thanked me. And some of them even wished that I was running in their electorate. And then some people even told me that they were gonna run in the next election and that I was the catalyst for that. I gave them hope and inspired them to run in their own electorates. I don't know how young they are, but you might see them in 2028. And this is why I love politics so much, right? Because It brings us together to fight for issues that we all truly care about. And that's why we're all in this room today. Next slide, please. Now, as Nat said, I am a software engineer. I'm young, but you can learn anything now on the internet. And up at the top left, here are some apps and tools that I've built if you wanted to look them up after. But the reason that I think this is important is because of my mindset towards politics. Now, when I told people I was going to get into politics, they always said to me, Michael, you should probably study law or you should do political science. It makes sense, right? You're getting into politics. And I said, no, I'm going to do engineering. And they were very stumped by that. And the reason is very simple. Nat, could you go to the next slide, please? An engineer is given a broken system, a problem, and then they try to understand as deeply as they can why that system is broken, and then they redesign it so that it never breaks again. This is what we need in politics. Unfortunately, our politicians talk about problems and go loop-de-loops around them. What we need is somebody to look at a problem, understand the problem deeply, and make sure that it never happens again. And that's why I studied engineering. And that's why I think it's so valuable to be an engineer in politics. Next slide, please. I also am a small business owner. I run a business called Prismline Digital, where I help local Aussie businesses integrate AI and AI agents and automation into their business to reduce repetitive work and basically just to streamline their business. And this work has given me enormous insight into the pressures that local businesses face, the amount of time, money, and opportunity that they've lost due to red tape and unnecessary admin and just outdated systems. It's really disheartening, actually. But all of this knowledge as a teacher and running as a candidate and on Instagram and running a small business has given me so much knowledge and has shown me the cracks in our beautiful country. And unfortunately, no matter how many times we jump back and forth between Labor and Liberal, we're going to get the exact same result. We need reform. And that is why I have joined Reform Australia. It is a brand new political force that is focused exclusively on kitchen table issues, the issues that affect Aussie families the most. Cost of living, housing, immigration, taxation, hospitals and ambulance, wait times, you name it. Next slide, please. Now, what is different between Reform and the other parties? It's not necessarily what you see on the outside, but what's actually happening deep down on the inside. Next slide. This is how most major parties operate. The people at the very tippity top create the policies, they propose them, and they give them to the people with little regard to what the people at the bottom actually think. These are the ones who get them into Parliament, right? This is the lifeblood of the party, and they completely ignore them in policy development, which I think is terrible. And unfortunately, this is how most major parties operate. The most important decisions, the ones that will affect the country the absolute most, especially if the party is elected, rests on the hands of the people at the very top with little regard to how it might affect, us everyday punters. Next slide. This is where Reform jumps in and completely flips it on its head. So Reform wants to give every single member, community, and everyday Aussie a voice, right? And it makes sense because the everyday Aussies are the ones that get the party into Parliament in the first place. So they should have the loudest voice and say when it comes to policy. And the politicians should work extremely closely with the people so that the right issues are being addressed in Parliament so that we can build a better future that actually helps us. It's not helping a minority, it actually helps the majority. Next slide. So the party launched in early December last year, right? 6 or 7 months ago. And we have experienced enormous growth over the last couple of months. We have had the most legacy media exposure out of any party in the last 4 years, which is incredible. And so you can see here, this is an image we have on the website, and it shows these little icons are clusters of about 100 or 1,000 people, or not 1,000, 100 people who have joined Reform. You can see that it covers pretty much, the places that people actually live in the country, from the cities all the way to the farms. But we want to take this to the next step, okay? We want to set up hundreds of branches hundreds of branches across Australia to bring a real local presence into every single electorate, so that members and everyday Aussies can propose, their concerns, their opinions, and let us know what's working and what's not.
Good.
So let's talk about policies, okay? Australia is completely reworking Australian politics. And when I say that, I mean we're focused exclusively on issues that people are actually talking about and that actually have a meaningful impact on the country, like cost of living, housing, immigration, our bloated taxation system, our declining education standard, the hospital and ambulance wait times, our infrastructure, our innovation, our productivity in the country. There are so many issues that is domino affecting our poor country, and we got to change that. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to talk about technology as well. Obviously, as a young guy, I think technology is probably one of the most important aspects of any political party, and realistically any business as well. Because without good, intuitive systems in place to back the members of the party, nothing gets done. And it's very easy to fall behind if you don't have these things in place. Next slide. Now, if you want an example, if you need to send out a survey to every single member in the party, or you want to host fun, very interactive events at every single branch, how do you do that? You need good technology and systems in place to achieve that, right? And you got to make sure that you're staying at the cutting edge of technology and leverage it in everything that you do. Next slide. Unfortunately, the major parties don't think so. Right? And we've seen this in their events, we've seen this in their policies, and we can see it in our country today. We often lag decades behind other countries in terms of innovation and technology. And if you look at a chart about productivity, it just keeps going down. And that's not what we want. And I want you to think back to when you guys have had to apply for a permit online, or a driver's test, or renewing your car's registration, or asking the council for permission to knock down a pillar in your house, or to renovate the bathroom. How long did it take them to help you?
10 years.
Yeah, too long, right? Next slide, please. Now, the man behind all of this is Walter Villatora. After leaving the Liberal Party, he is leading reform. Now, he is known for his highly strategic grassroots campaigns that engage communities and give a voice to everyday Aussies. He did this with a former Prime Minister, and he did this with a former New South Wales Premier, and now he's going to do it with reform. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to end off by saying that our goal is to reinvent Australian politics to bring the power back to us.
Yeah.
Just like Augusta was saying.
Come on.
And so, we want to support and engage everyday Aussies to get involved into politics. I know it can be boring sometimes and not very exciting, but we need to do it so we can all stay involved and educated on what's going on. Join the community and help reshape how it looks and how it operates, and finally take control of your future.
Good, yes.
Next slide.
Good.
Finally, with your help, we can create a political movement that shows the current government our aspirations, our hopes, and the common sense of the Australian people. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy.